Hello everybody, my name is Luke Marr and this is HauteLeMode, and today on HauteLeMode we're coming to you with more reactions to fashion TikToks. I think it's a fun way to get into whatever's happening in fashion, to talk about it, to discuss things that I see. It's me diatribing for about 20 or so minutes. So listen, as per usual, we're gonna watch some TikToks and talk about them.
The first women's bag that Coach ever made is called the Cash and Carry.
I don't know if you guys know, but I did go to this women dressing women exhibit at the Met. I love Bonnie Cashin. Bonnie Cashin was a mid-20th century designer. If you've ever seen any of the turn lock styles on a Coach bag, instead of going and working for one singular brand, she essentially was what we would call a stylist. At that point in the 20th century, she was working around, I believe, starting in the 20s and then went all the way to the 60s, 70s. She would just design things, she would sketch things, and then she'd give it to a manufacturer and say, we want to make these. Or she would work with certain brands. She worked for Hermes, she worked for Coach, but she wasn't like a designer at those brands per se. Rather, she was kind of like a freelancer. She made certain styles and then Coach was like, yeah, we like these, we'll produce them. Or Hermes was like, yeah, we like these, we'll produce them. So that's who Bonnie Cashin is. She was a really cool lady. He's talking about one of Bonnie's most famous bags, which is the Cash and Carry.
Most people don't know that Coach began as a men's brand in the 40s, and it wasn't until the early 60s that they introduced their first women's
I had no
collection.
idea.
That's because in 1962, Coach hired its first creative director named Bonnie Cashin. That's when the brand really began. Her first bag for the brand was inspired by the paper shopping bags she saw women carrying around New York City. And here's
she was just like cool. And she also very much so was always thinking about how to make women's lives more sort of utilitarian without it feeling like, oh, they had to sacrifice this idea of style.
Look at one of her first labels. It says Cash and Carry for Coach. Bonnie was very intentional with her design.
The turn lock, I told you.
She brought a lot of hardware to the brand as we go.
Also, apparently, she was the first person to invent the terminology for fashion hardware. I learned that from Stephanie Lake, who is a doctor who actually also is the person that runs Bonnie Cashin's archive.
Inside the bag, you can see the turn lock hardware. Coach still uses this hardware to this day. It's instantly recognizable as Coach, and that's because of Bonnie Cashin. Had it not been for Bonnie, Coach would not be what it is today. You can still see some of her design elements in bags that are made today. I found this bag online. Don't ask me what I paid for it because it's a ridiculous amount.
A lot of Bonnie Cashin stuff can be pretty pricey, but if you do love the idea of American women designers and the history of that, which is often not really talked about, hence why the women dressing women exhibit at the Met came around. She's a very cool designer. You should get into her. She's in the same sort of step as like a Claire McCardle. She's really, really cool. Love Bonnie Cashin.
I'm glad I have it in my collection. This is part of a new series I'll be making called the Archive Tour.
You should check out Will on TikTok. His name is Will Durness. He's a vintage Coach collector, and I think it's really, really cool if you're interested in bags. It's actually giving you information on the pieces, understanding them, all that kind of stuff. So I highly recommend. Yeah. He kind of ate with that. Listen, if nobody calls you grandpa, gay, or judges you, your outfit is not good enough. Nobody makes fun of your outfit. Are you really serving? And I say that as somebody that I used to wear crazy shit and get called horrible names on the street. I don't know how to fight. And also in like a 4-inch heel, I could run kind of fast, but like not fast enough. Serving is an art form. It's a sacrifice, but people have to do it. Style is about evolution. It's about changing. It's about sort of defying the norms, and we love that.
Here's my hack for cutting out felt with precision using just clear wide
Because I bought a coffee table. I love the table. It's a glass tabletop. It's a Noguchi table, okay? I bought a Noguchi table. I'm not trying to like name drop and be like, I want a Noguchi table, but like I bought a Noguchi table. Don't want it to get scratched. I spent a good chunk of change on it. I know people were like, well, then why would you buy it in the first place? I'm hearing that a lot recently. I tried to learn how to like window tint on the coffee table, a little tougher than anticipated. It's hard to protect a glass tabletop. I was also thinking maybe I buy some felt and I cut it out in the shape of the coffee table, and then I lay that on top so that like in everyday life when I don't have people over, I'm not scratching it up. That's why I was looking up felt cutting.
I like to start by
but I'm very lazy.
cutting out
I don't want to go
pattern.
to Good Fabrics and really do that.
Once the pattern's taped down to your felt,
tape
it's
on
super
it, and then
easy
that'll
to just
lay it flat.
Trim away by cutting on the lines.
The more you know.
Packing tape at practically any store. I got this roll from Walmart for about $2.50.
We don't have Walmarts here in Manhattan.
Not believe that there's some sort of expiration date on something that you love to wear.
Agree with Caroline here. If you buy a piece of clothing that is really, really interesting, maybe it costs a little bit more, but it's not going to go out of style, especially if it's from like a certain fashion brand. Like I love Hood by Air, for example. It's a defunct brand now. It's not really around. When I used to buy them, I could wear them time and time again, and they never went out of quote unquote style because A, not enough people knew about Hood by Air, and B, I love it. So I am the dictator of what I think is in and out of style. And that's the same thing for everybody. If people love wearing what they want to wear, go for it. This camera's going to go off at the end of this video. And let me tell you, I'm not going to think about what you're wearing. I'm sorry. I'm off the clock. I don't care. As we always say in fashion, we're not curing cancer. Okay? Wear whatever you want. But like if you buy something that is a cool vintage piece or from a certain designer that you really, really like, it's not going to go out of style. And I agree with Caroline.
Video of someone saying that bows will not be a trend in 2024. These are all photos from different runway shows across 4 different decades.
Agree.
For yourself in 2024 and just wear what you want.
Agree. Wholeheartedly. It does not matter. Trends are created by people. Stylish people. Like the mob trend is because people are like Carmela Soprano. I think of mob wives because of VH1, mob wives, Big Ange, Drita D'Avanzo, Renee Graziano. That's my mob wives because I'm also from Staten Island. But I have a different context to the people that are like, I've never been to New Jersey and I've never seen anybody except Carmela Soprano, who's a fictional character on TV, dictate what is like mob wife aesthetic.
Loud budgeting is a new concept I'm introducing for 2024. It's the opposite of quiet luxury. But if you know any rich people, you know that they hate spending money. So
yeah, I agree with that. I think that's the thing that people don't really understand about like quiet luxury is like rich people will wear things over and over and over again because in reality, like they don't care.
It's not I don't have enough, it's I don't want to spend.
Yes. If you go back and like if you're somebody that's really into like the Gilded Age, a lot of the British aristocracy was poor at a certain point. And so what happened was all of these very wealthy American upper crust or nouveau riche families wanted the titles of a lord or a lady or duchess. And so they married into these families, these British aristocracy families, because they had no money. You can have a beautiful castle. If you don't have any money to support your staff or your lifestyle, it's going to get a little bit over at your castle. There might be some stones missing, a couple holes in the roof.
That dollar in your pocket, choose a stock that's going to rock it.
Me. If I'm going to tell you where I go to get archival 80s clothing from dead old women on the Upper East Side, you're joking. You're funny. Because I'm not going to tell you that because you're going to go and make a TikTok about it and then you're going to ruin my experience. If you're not willing to do the research, I don't have to spoon feed you information. And that to me is what gatekeeping is. Okay? If you want information about things, you will do the research. You will read a book. You will Google things online. Don't wait for people to spoon feed you things. But keep watching HauteLeMode because I love you all. Also, love whatever is going to happen in this moment. Also, can we talk about a very intriguing trend? The advent of the little mini treadmill on TikTok to showcase your outfits so you can walk. I find very intriguing. I love. And also I find it really intriguing to see the way that somebody will style one singular dress. I believe that this is maybe a Vivienne Westwood dress. Earlier we saw it's tied with a little bit of like a silk robe of some sort. Chic, elegant. Love this too. It reads very Westwoody to me. The hat, sold on the hat. The Napoleonic little flare hat. Very fun. Oh, chic. This feels very Christopher John Rogers to me, and I love that journey. Chic.
Let's repurpose this vintage Dior choker that contains lip gloss.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on, but love it.
I decided to put it in the freezer overnight to make the removal process easier.
Okay.
You can see here it made such a big difference when it came to scooping it out. Once it was all gone, of course, I washed it with soap and water and sprayed it down with alcohol. This time I wanted to try to recreate the original product. I mixed petroleum jelly with this highlighter and an eyeshadow from Morphe, but I think the second one was a lot closer. I am so happy with how this one came out, and I think it's pretty close to the original.
It's beautiful though. That's a cool way to repurpose something like that. That's a beautiful little bonnet. Look at that rabbit, hand knitted. Stunning. I love a knit. I'm sorry, I do. I love a knit at all times. I think they're beautiful, beautiful things.
I knew this was cashmere the moment I touched it. It's in good condition, just some pilling, so time for a makeover. Despite what people
I just also love watching people rehab garments.
Cleaning cashmere is pretty easy. Once or twice a season is all it needs. Let's start with a quick once over with a lint roller, then a cozy combing session with a cashmere comb.
Interesting. I do not own a cashmere comb.
Followed by a soothing shave, focusing on high friction areas. Time for a lukewarm bubble bath with wool light and a splash of vinegar to soften the water.
I've never used wool. To be fair, I wash my clothes in like a washing machine. The only thing that I get nervous about when it comes to knits is one time I tried to wash a knit myself and then I put it on a hanger, which is a problem because it was wet. Because of the weight of the water and the fact that it was hanging, it like stretched down because the water all sort of obviously from gravity was at the bottom of the sweater and became like kind of a dress, like a beautiful pale pink dress. But more and more, I'm getting more and more comfortable with washing some of my own like hats, baseball hats or like a trucker hat. I now wash myself. I have like a little bucket and I have a scrub brush. Clothing literacy. Learning to care for your clothing yourself, learning how to get stains out, things like that are important because in reality, it helps things last a lot longer. And also, the more comfortable we all become with understanding fabrics and textiles and things like that, the more we know what is good quality versus bad quality. What is maybe 100% cotton and how to care for that versus cotton with a little bit of polyester in it or a little bit of spandex or whatever. I think those things are really, really important if we're going to get back to understanding our clothing a little bit more than we do now.
Remember to handle with care. Too much friction can cause damage to these precious fibers. And to speed up the drying process, I'm going to roll him up all nice and snug in a towel. And while he's all rolled up, we're going to give him a nice little relaxing massage. I got him back in shape and left him out to dry flat. Then a little steam.
Oh, see, I need one of these drying rack thing.
Out to dry flat. Then a little steam for the wrinkles. As a reminder, here's what Mr. Davis looked like before. And here he is after his little spa day.
Wow.
Looking so much better and feeling so soft and cozy.
I could do that to my little sweater.
And with proper care, cashmere can last up to 10 years. It's warmer and lighter than wool. What do you think?
Let's talk those luxury items that I regret purchasing for this year because unfortunately I wasn't the smartest yet again. This is the Attico Midnight Clutch. It's beautiful. It's stunning.
It is very beautiful. And the Attico is a smaller Italian brand that I think started off doing shoes. Now they do clothing. I assume they also now do bags.
I love it. I've literally used it one time and it was around the holiday season. I purchased this for my 30th birthday when I went to Las Vegas thinking I'd use it in Vegas. I didn't.
Feels like a Vegas bag.
During the semi-annual forward sale, I got swept up by a deal, and that being this Mugler top 2019. But the price of it has gone down significantly on the resale market, so this was not a good investment.
Okay, so like here's my thing on that, just on like the Mugler bodysuit thing, is like going back to what we were talking about earlier, is don't let other people dictate to you whether or not you like something. As soon as it leaves a retailer or a brand, it's already diminished. Even before you've opened the box, it's already diminished in price. If you're gonna buy clothing that you actually like and that you'll actually wear. The girls love the vibes, chic. I feel like we're having a lot of conversations about fur coming back and fur being a thing. Partially the mob wife aesthetic. I think partially people are kind of like, well, if you buy faux fur made out of plastic, it's not recyclable, it won't break down. And also last season for the spring 2024 collections, there was one big PETA protest at each of the fashion shows in New York, London, Milan, and Paris. So I think that's also really interesting. I think it's something to keep our eye on.
The fashion industry completely discarded plus size models
this
last year is bonkers. If you guys look at Skims over the last year, you will see how dramatically their imagery has changed.
I'm really intrigued by the lack of plus size models, both on the runway and also off the runway, because I don't think plus size people have gone anywhere. Seeing the economy go is it seems like a lot of fashion brands are pulling back. There's a lot less spending going on within those brands. Production of certain clothing pieces in order to just like make a sample. Let's say in New York, I believe that it costs around $1,000 let's say to make a sample. Not every fashion brand can make two samples. One is a plus size sample and one is a sample size sample because it's a lot of money for them. And so to smaller, younger, up-and-coming brands, I understand where they're coming from when they're saying, I apologize, it's not that I don't want to do it, it's just that financially it is a very difficult thing to do. With larger brands, the bigger, luxury houses, I think that's a really, really intriguing thing to me to see the lack of plus-size models on runways. Always good PR to put plus-size models on the runway. And so is that worth the good PR? Yes, it is. Again, it makes you a better designer to have an understanding of how to dress different bodies.
And I want to show you 4 Hermes bags that are not a Birkin or a Kelly.
If you don't know Saida Silva, she is one of the Real Housewives, but she's also a fashion influencer.
So number 1, this is the Constance wallet to go with gold hardware,
Interesting. See, I know certain Hermes, but like obviously the Birkin and the Kelly and all that sort of stuff. And there are a bunch of other, a messenger bag version with like the perforated H in it.
This is the inside, and then it also comes with a...
Oh, see, that's cute. I thought it was just like a wallet.
Over like so.
That works.
All right. This is the Hermes New Drag 22. The thing about this bag is that I end up not wanting to put the straps on because I always have to roll it and put the strap back because it's so thick.
Oh, I think it's cute. The little minty green seafoam.
Of calf skin, adorable. This was my first Hermes purchase that I bought myself when I was in Paris. This is beautiful blue leather, and it has a gold hardware, and this also comes with a strap. The strap is very small, so it's not...
I don't understand that strap.
Typically, we'll hold it like this, and I also leave it open.
Size from Brooklyn, I know, so Sai gets it. If I bought that in Paris, I would not keep it open because the girls are pickpockets.
Put it on the shoulder.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. No.
Last bag is the Hermes Picotin in a size.
That's cute. Easy. Doesn't scream Hermes.
You cannot wear this in the rain because it will stain. It has a silver hardware.
I like a silver.
I would definitely have to say you have to put your stuff in some sort of a pouch.
I guess protect the inside.
But you just tighten the strap like so it closes. Cute. I also think it's a really great bag.
I like it. It looks fun.
Hold it like this.
It's very Provence-y.
Do you think an industry plant
We have to talk about this.
aesthetic come back because of the Sopranos 25th anniversary?
Here's the thing, like the Sopranos is 25 years old and all that sort of stuff. And like, to be completely frank and fair, do I believe that that's possibly a thing? Yeah, I do. There was an interview that was done with the Sopranos costume designer, and like she didn't really allude to the fact that like anything with the Sopranos was like coming back to reignite it. And I feel like there is just a lot of love for the Sopranos more recently in the past like few years. But to me, the mob life aesthetic, again, and I said it before, but like I know mob life aesthetic from women that are actually associated with La Cosa Nostra. That's my idea of the mob wife aesthetic. Carmela Soprano, to me, is a very different kind of mob wife than the mob wives of people in that lifestyle. I would say that Carmela is kind of like at the tippity top.
What song are you listening to?
Huh?
What song are you listening to?
Oh, it's a purse.
Who sings that?
I love that.
It's a purse, bitch. There's no music. Like, it's a purse.
That's how you do a beautiful little moment of promoting a bag. This is Jake Fleming. I really like Jake's videos. He does all of these like buying crazy things and then puts them on. I think that he understands how to promote certain crazy little items like the Longchamp headphone purse. I love that. I think it's smart.
My mom has always said that if you want to know your true personal style, you need to go out with your friends on a day when it's raining. Why? Because you're relying on instinct and utility.
Agree.
Into what you'd naturally gravitate towards on a rain day is invaluable for your personal style. You're welcome.
I do think that like there's an element to when the chips are down, you got to do what you got to do. I guess that is your personal style. I'm very casual. And like people are like, you have shit sense of style and da-da-da, which is fine. You're not wrong. You'll never find a moment on this channel where I have said, wow, I am the most stylish person in the world. You should follow what I'm wearing. Never once.
I got kicked out of a bar in New York for wearing fur. And
see, we're having this fur conversation keeps coming up.
I feel like I didn't get the memo that like wearing fur in New York is like, I guess, like really offensive.
I don't know. I've walked around in shearling, like real shearling, but I think a lot of time people can't really tell what's real and what's fake because, again, clothing literacy. I'm intrigued by the fact that some people are like, no, you can't go to the bar.
It was vintage. It was like a mink coat from the 30s, so it was very old. And I do feel like okay with wearing vintage fur. I would never buy a fur coat new. But anyways, I walked up to this bar. It was like a speakeasy, and the man was like, is your coat real? And I was like, yes, it's real. It's really old. It's from the 30s. And he was like, that doesn't matter. Fur is not allowed here. You need to leave.
Interesting.
I thought he was joking, so I kind of just looked at him.
I'm intrigued by that only because I think that's probably like a personal bouncer thing, you know what I mean? Like in New York, if you go to certain clubs, certain bouncers are, door people pick and choose who is chic and who they want to come into their bar. So I think that's probably more of like a personal decision on the bouncer and or door person's part. The other thing is, a lot of people are like, if you're gonna spend money, I don't really care what's happening.
Satire exists in what is called the gray market. So not the black market that specializes in illegal goods. The gray market instead is basically where items are sold by non-authorized retailers. And the way they're able to do this much, much lower than the actual luxury brand's price is because you place the order on their website. They have no warehouse, no goods whatsoever. They then make the purchase of the item in Europe where it is much, much cheaper. And
I will say, like, if you go to Europe and you're in Italy or Paris, you do pay a significant less of a price point because they don't have the import tax for certain goods.
Ship it to you.
Also, they don't have the shipping costs.
Slight markup because, of course, they have to receive their commission for purchasing the item and shipping it to you. Shipping was free, by the way, but it is still much less than what it would be to purchase the item in the U.S. Companies like Satire, Baltini, and Italist have found loopholes in order to escape the regulations that typically exist around shipping luxury goods. And so, again, they're not fakes. It's not illegal, but there have been restrictions by certain countries like Australia around their operation, and there are certain brands that cannot be sold on Satire like Acne, Chanel, and some others. I cannot say enough good about these websites. I have ordered from all three.
I did not know that Tire. C-T-T-I-R-E. Oh, thank you, Tashira.
Is the shipping time can take a while, but knowing how
that makes sense.
Operates, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, let me go and enjoy my
Interesting. Okay. The more you know. Chic. Love her. This is chic. I love this. Layering. That wool coat is beautiful. That green is stunning. Absolutely stunning. I also love a vintage perfume bottle, specifically Schiaparelli, because Elsa Schiaparelli made really cool perfume bottles. Snuff to Schiaparelli. Look at that. It's in the shape of a little pipe. I love that. Renee Magritte. Wow, that's cool. This is also so funny to me. Shout out to Sita. And also, this makes me laugh because Miuccia Prada was a communist, was like a registered card-carrying communist, and was also at the same time like wearing Fiorucci from London, was wearing Yves Saint Laurent, Rive Gauche. It's kind of on brand, I think.
I've been seeing rumors online that historical menswear is boring, that men's suits never change.
Yeah, you tell them.
Menswear is generally unaffected by the tides of fashion.
Agree. I used to be one of those people that said that, and it is very much so not true.
I would like to set the record straight.
Set it.
I'm going to show you the difference between this suit made in about 1950 and this suit made in about 1965.
70s NPC. Check them out. Very cool.
Look past the fact that the sleeves are slightly too long on me. When I cuff my
love the double-breasted.
The bottom of this jacket ends right at
the way that the shoulder bumps up too.
The same place as the cuff. I have a whole hand of room right here. When I open up,
you can see the difference.
See that these are pleated pants and that they're baggy. And as I open up this one,
yeah, this is very. I could tell that that's like a 60s.
Those are very slim fitting pants.
Yeah.
There's no pleats. So see this wide tie that ends right about here. The suit is very, very structured. Big shoulder pads. Very accentuating features.
If you look at the 60s versus the 70s versus the 50s versus the 40s, like there's all different styles, and also a lot of, I would say, mid-century clothing, anything from the 80s down to like the 20s, the 10s, was dictated by what was going on culturally. I mean, like the 1930s, there was this idea of like the nipped-in waist because it kind of was similar to women's clothing, and it was a lot easier during World War II to make clothing that was similar. It was easier. The 50s, again, this idea of like the nuclear family and dad, and there's all these different reasons why menswear also changed in the same way that women's wear also changed during the decades or 4 different decades because of the cultural understanding of the time and the moment. I also love Louis Gabriel Nucci. It's a menswear brand, and this is none other than the iconic Raja Sultan, who is the winner of Drag Race Season 3, was one of the early drag queens on reality TV, and also was a makeup artist. LGN did cast Raja, who's an icon. And also I'm screaming about Lucius Malfoy because the wig is beautiful.
Edward, my first cocktail...
Oh, so this is wild to me.
Espresso martini, and I feel like of all of the human beings in the world, you might know this piece of information, which was that apparently it was created for either Naomi Kate. They walked into a bar and said that they wanted a cocktail that would pick me up and me up.
That's wild. I also 100% believe that that is true, and it's probably, I don't know, somewhere at like the Ivy in London or Maybe not like a Soho House. I feel like they weren't like Soho House girly. That's also wild that like Emma Watson knows the story.
Yeah, but I'm definitely gonna find out.
Please.
I like that story.
Me too, Edward. I also do. I love that. That's investigative journalism to me. Also, the Margiela reference trend is very cool to me. I like the fact that a show like a Margiela by John Galliano show is bringing back a cultural cachet and sensibility that people can like get into and be inspired by, because I think a lot of times it was very nostalgic to look back at a lot of Alexander McQueen shows, John Galliano for Dior. There are shows happening now for young people that they can also be inspired by. For me personally, like Chanel and like the early 2010s, like Karl Lagerfeld's big show sets, those were some of the things that really, really inspired me early on. I mean, the grocery store collection lives rent-free in my mind. I like the fact that we're getting back to that a little bit for young people, and they have that ability to see something super creative and storytelling and all of that brought in to create a moment. And so I'm happy. And so that's where I'll end today's little TikTok reaction video. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Shout out to all of the creators that made very, very intriguing styles and moments and all that jazz, because you know, that's really what keeps the world running, is creativity and putting yourself out there. So I hope you all learned a lot. I will see you guys on the next video, and TTY.